And then we start going into cartilage. So what makes cartilage a little different is they have these special cells called chondrocytes. Chondra means cartilage, cyte means cells. So chondrocyte would be the cells that are making the cartilage. And so we're going to look at all three types of cartilage. We will only look at one of them histology wise. So the first one is hyaline cartilage. And so hyaline cartilage is usually, we'll find it at the end of bones, and it keeps two bones from rubbing together. And so that's what hyaline cartilage does. And here's how it looks under the microscope. To me, this is the hyaline cartilage you're seeing in here. And it doesn't always stain purple, so don't think purple, but to me it looks like soda bubbles. So if I'm drinking grape soda, this looks like grape soda bubbles, and that's what it looks like under the microscope to me. So you can put whatever you think it looks like, or you can draw a picture of it. You will be drawing a picture in lab. So where do we find hyaline cartilage? A lot of different places we find hyaline cartilage. But where we're going to tag it in lab is on, this is a fetal skull. So the fetal skeleton has hyaline cartilage. In fact, you've heard of bouncy, bouncy baby. Well, that's because a lot, and when we do bone formation, we'll talk about that hyaline cartilage serving as that blueprint. But you do still see some, especially in the soft spots of a baby, still some hyaline cartilage until the skull comes together. So this would be one of the things that we could get tagged. We've talked about those trachea rings here. So these rings that are here are hyaline cartilage. And then here's your sternum, and there's your ribs. These little connector pieces here, which are called costal ribs. Your costal ribs are actually hyaline cartilage. And I don't have a picture of a nose here, but the reason you can bend your nose and stuff is because that is also cartilage. All right, so our next one is called fibrocartilage, and I want you to think of fibrocartilage as a shock absorber. So it is in spots where if you were to jump up and down, it's going to be able to handle that. Remember, cartilage is for two bones can't rub. So this one's really a shock absorber. And where we're going to see this in lab is right in between these your vertebra. And so this little disc here is called a intervertebral disc. So you've heard of people have a slip disc or something. So this is cartilage in here, and that is specifically fibrocartilage as a shock absorber. And then this little piece right here, this little connector piece here, for your two coxal bones, as you are moving and walking, these two could bump into each other. So this is called the pubic symphysis, and the pubic symphysis is a joint, it's a symphysis joint, and it is stopping those two. So here is fibrocartilage, here is fibrocartilage. The other place would be, I mean there's others, but would be your meniscus of your knee. I won't be tagging that because you have all those other ligaments and stuff, and so sometimes it's hard to see where that meniscus is when I go to tag. So we'll be tagging the intervertebral disc and the pubic symphysis, but there will be no histology, so you will not have to worry about looking at the slides. So this is showing the pubic symphysis there, and that is made of fibrocartilage. You do need to know that for lecture as well. And then you've got elastic cartilage. Well, you think of like rubber bands, they're able to stretch and then go back to their shape. Elastic cartilage connective tissue is in places where you would need it to be able to rebound. And so you're seeing it here on the pinna of your ear. So this big thing here is called the pinna. And you can pull your pinna of your ear down and pop back up. So that is elastic cartilage. And then the other place, and I really need to show you in lab, this is your epiglottis. So not down here. This is your trachea, that's hyaline cartilage, and not inside your trachea, because that is that pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue, but we're talking about right here. This little flappy thing called the epiglottis is elastic cartilage. So let's watch this short video on how your epiglottis actually works.
During a normal swallow, the larynx elevates and moves forward and acts as a mechanical lever. This action causes the epiglottis to flip down over the tracheal entrance, thereby protecting the airway and directing food or liquids into the esophagus for a normal swallow. The vocal folds also close and breathing temporarily stops. Food and liquids are propelled into the esophagus and at the same time kept out of the larynx and trachea for a safe and...
Move on to the bone. So bone, unlike cartilage, cartilage was made of chondrocytes. Bone is made of osteocytes, and we're going to learn how they're made of osteoblasts and osteoclasts. Remember, blasts are the immature ones. They're the ones that are building. So we'll talk about that more in lecture, but osteocytes are the cells that bones are made up of, and so bones are harder, solid, and we have two different types. We have compact bone, and so compact bone to me looks like these little tree rings. So this looks like the center, and then it looks like it goes out like that, and that's how it looks under the microscope. Some students say it looks like Starry Night, if you know what that painting is. So that's what compact bone looks like underneath the microscope. Very distinct looks to that. And in lecture, we'll talk about all the different little parts of it, the lacunae, etc., as we get into chapter 6. But for lab, right now, I just need you to know what it looks like under the microscope. So there's another picture, black and white. Definitely looks like tree rings. So where do we find compact bone? Well, we find compact bone on the outside of our bones. So on the outside of our bones, you're going to find the compact bone. And in lab, we do have a real bone that I will show you, that you will see, so that you can actually see the ends of the bones, which is where the spongy bone is located. So spongy bone is the other type. To me, and you guys are younger, so you might not know what this is, but there used to be a thing called sponge painting. So it looks like someone has taken a sponge and just put it in some paint and went and dabbed it everywhere. And so these are something called trabeculae, and so these are empty areas, and they are leaving this pattern going on. So a spongy bone under the microscope really looks like someone's taken a sponge and dipped it in paint. So that's the way it looks. So this is the trabeculae that is giving us this pattern going on here. And we find spongy bone on the inside ends of our bone. So that inside layer there. So if you've ever broken up like a chicken leg at the end, you can see that webby looking stuff is spongy bone. And then we come to our last one, which is blood. And blood is actually connective tissue. It does connect. It transports things by the fluid matrix. Its matrix is plasma. Okay, so plasma is the technically ground substance of that. It's going to transport materials. It transports gases, your nutrients, and your waste to help get filtered through for your body. And then included in the blood connective tissue are your red blood cells, which are known as erythrocytes, and I would like you to know that. Erythrocytes are red blood cells, and then you have leukocytes. Leukocytes are your white blood cells, leuko for the white. You may have heard of like leukemia. And then we also have platelets. So I would like you to know erythrocytes, red blood cells, leukocytes, white blood cells, and then you also have your platelets. And so let's see what that looks like under the microscope. So what you're looking at here, and blood, when it stains, it's like the red blood cells are just kind of round, and they're more of a pink color. Do you notice that some of them do not have, they're kind of like hollowed out? So that is because this might be someone that might be anemic. A heme group makes it stain more of the red, and so if they're hollowed, that might be an iron deficiency. So these are all red blood cells you're seeing here. And you see these large purple looking things here? Those are your leukocytes, or your white blood cells. In an AP2, you'll learn the different shapes, the basophils versus the eosinophils, and they can actually look at a slide and kind of tell you if you're having an allergic reaction or something, or if you've got a lot of these, you have some sort of infection. And then the tiny things that we really probably won't be able to see under our microscopes, these are your platelets. You can see a few of them running around here, but I don't know under our microscopes if we'll be able to make them that blown up so you'll be able to see. Remember, 400 magnification is the most that we can get. So in lab, these are our three models for this. This is your red blood cell, this is your white blood cell, and this is what platelets look like. So if I asked for the tissue type, you would tell me, well, this is blood connective tissue, but if I ask for specifically, this is a red blood cell or erythrocytes, this is a white blood cell, a leukocyte, and this is a platelet. All right, that has gotten us through tissue. I know it's a lot, but I know that you can do it.